What's happening, everybody? Welcome to Matic TV. Welcome to the Sunday afternoon show, the podcast, and probably one of the biggest podcasts that we've ever done. I mean, I still remember that day when Ed Woodward was announced to be leaving Manchester United. Well, we was actually live, but let's be honest, guys, this has been a horrific weekend for Manchester United Football Club in all aspects. We'll get into some nitty-gritty in a minute. I'm going to go around and ask everyone what their overriding feeling is and how they've taken the news and what's gone down this weekend, touching on the game as well and everything that's happened within the game, where you was, whatever you received. Guys, obviously, get your comments in as well as we go through everyone on the panel and all topics from yesterday, because it has been an absolute whirlwind and it was topped off today. So much to talk about. First of all, just let's introduce everyone on the panel today. Hopefully Owen can jump on with us as well, because he was at the game as well as myself yesterday. So it'd be good to get his outlook on how it went down there. Dave, how good, mate? Back in lockdown in Amsterdam, is it, sadly?
No, not quite locked down. Just some reinstituted conditions, but I've just had my Wagamama and a double espresso, so I'm ready.
All right. Can't beat that, mate, then. Everything's good in the world. Wagamama's in the back. Espresso's
right
down. There we go. Kino recovering from a hangover to drown your sorrows after yesterday's performance. No doubt, mate. But today's been a big day, mate. Before we get into all that, pal, how's yourself? All good?
All good. Been a rough week, to be honest, personal life-wise. But other than that, look, it's another day. You keep moving, and look, we look on to the future of Manchester United Football Club now at the moment.
That's it, mate. That's it. It's never easy, is it, when everything is condemned by your football team at the end of the week? You're just hoping that you get a little bit of joy or a little bit of something back from your club, Saeed, to help you out through these tough weeks, like Keane said.
Yeah.
And yesterday, mate, it was horrendous, but we'll get into that in a minute, like I said. But how was you, mate? Good week?
Yeah, good week. Yeah, good weekend. Today was cold, mate. It is cold in Manchester.
Yeah, it dropped today, didn't it?
Oh, mate. But other than that, it's one of them, you know what I mean? It's just we need to recover, you know what I mean, in everything, man. I think everyone's tired. And I think United fans need to recover mentally from this all. It's been battering, man. I don't know about you guys, but I'm still thinking about that 5-0, mate. You know, I don't know what it is, but I just still got that in my head, that 5-0 hammering. So it's just kind of like recovering from it and the trauma of the kind of like, you know, we've seen for the last few years.
It's been, I don't believe or don't agree with a lot of what Gary Neville says these days, but he said something today which I pretty much agree with, which was from that sort of Villarreal, Everton, Villa game, it took an absolute nosedive completely. And I think a lot of fans were feeling it, especially when I was speaking to people outside Old Trafford after the Villa game. There it was starting to really sort of hit home that bigger problems were afoot and it was going to be a tough old ride. And people were calling for Ollie's head then, as they have been for a long time, like yourself, Saeed, mate. But yesterday, Saeed, mate, I'll start with you.
Yeah.
Just run me through your emotions of the day, mate, really, because I know you was working through most of the day and then you watched the football. Take it up from actually watching that match yesterday, mate, and tell me what your thoughts were, because a lot went on in the game. I mean, after the game, there's been a lot, and we'll talk about that, mate. But that game, Saeed, mate, I mean, wow.
Yeah, I think it was just utter chaos. I think that's the way you can explain it. I think they had 11 shots.
Pretty good,
yeah, in the first half. That, for me, against Man United, it's absolutely ridiculous, mate. You know, the defense has never been. It's always been a problem for United. You know what I mean? Whether we had our moments in terms of being resolute and, you know, in terms of certain players maybe having a better accolade over others. But for me, you know, defensively shocking. David De Gea kept us in it most of the time. But for me, the game was utter chaos, utter carnage. Second half, yes, we redeemed it. But, you know. But then again, it's Watford were always going to go sit back in their kind of shape because they're wondering, you know, is it worth kind of going for it? And they sat back. But, you know, it was, you know, that game just reminded me of how bad it's been for the last, especially the last few months, you know, when you talk about the Villa game. I that's what I really seen everyone kind of like feel the way I feel for the last 2 years. But mostly, like when you said, remember coming out from the ground that day when you was around you, and I don't know if Kino, I don't know if you were there that day Villa game, but just like the feeling of that same, everyone was like, I've had enough now. I've had enough. You know, I mean, this is not it now. And I feel like that game, it just never recovered, like you said, Adam. And it's just been a series of kind of incompetence from everyone, because it's not just Ollie, by the way. It's everyone. It's the guys at the top not to understand the warning signs, to not help him out, you know. And it's like, you know, when I'm hearing today, there's a few reports of Ollie didn't want to change his boardroom stuff. Well, that should have been the case. It should have been made for him, you know, that no, you're having this person and you work alongside with him. But yeah, mate, since the Carabao Cup as well, by the way, that one's a big one. I think that's got over people's head, you know, that we went out of the Carabao Cup first round. It was almost like, yeah, we're winning the trophy this season then, or what? What is the aim for the season? So, yeah, for me, yesterday was just a kind of, you know, how it just felt for the whole season, but just one game in a nutshell, really.
That was it. I mean, Keen, mate, talk me through your day, mate. I mean, the quotes that came out from certain United players, what happened with the United players at the end? I mean, I was there and I seen it right in front of me, what was going on. I've never seen anything like it. Personally, for me, that was the worst game I've ever been to in terms of atmosphere. I've never seen United fans doing what they were doing yesterday and acting the way they were acting. It was horrible to witness. And that's not what people seen on TV as well. There's other things going on as well with the fans at the moment. But Keen, mate, from afar, watching, it's hard to take when you see United getting pummeled by Liverpool and City and conceding 20 shots on target, on goal in them games. But this was Watford, relegation fodder, with no disrespect, hitting the same amount of shots and carving us open at will, just like City and Liverpool, mate. Was that the biggest telltale sign yesterday that it was over, mate? Because I felt like it was over at half-time, Keane, for Ollie.
I felt it was over after City, to be fair. Like, well, look, I'll be honest, I had my doubts after Villa. Like, I chatted to you after Villa that time. I had my doubts. Then I thought, like, look, it's probably going to be over by the end of the season. And yesterday was just an embarrassment. Not just like, look, you can talk about the manager being gone or whatever, but like there's a certain pride you have wearing a Manchester United shirt. There's a certain level of performance and expectation you wear a Manchester United shirt. And there's a certain level of, you know, of effort that needs to be met, regardless of result. And look, the manager is gone. And look, rightfully so when you think about like the results, it's a results business at the end of the day. He hasn't met that expectation. But the level of performance yesterday has mirrored a lot of performances this season, but times 10. Times 10. Like, it was embarrassing. And like when you look at like effort levels and look at pressing, we look at going in for a tackle, they're basics in football. Like, they are basics in football at whatever level you play at, whether it's amateur, whether it's semi-pro or pro. There's a certain level of expectation that needs to be met in terms of effort. But when you're playing at the biggest club in the world, in Manchester United, like, if you're not putting in effort, if you're not putting in like desire, you're not doing any of them things, you have to be called out as well as the manager. Which, because look, the manager has been called out all season, and justifiably so when you look at team selections and performance and tactics or whatever. But if you're not putting in effort, just basic effort, then you have to question yourself as a professional, as a player. And there's a lot of that yesterday I found disgusting. There was a lot of performances in that team yesterday that were disgusting. And I'm going to touch on a certain player later on when we get to him. But disgusted with the performance. And I was heartbroken yesterday because there's a level of expectation that needs to be met as a Manchester United team, and that wasn't met yesterday. There's certain things you can leave slide. But yesterday was just filthy, just disgusting, and no other words to describe it.
Yeah, I mean, Dave, mate, kind of ironic that after all this time, The only real positive yesterday was Donny van der Beek coming on off the bench, and this was the last game in Ollie's tenure. I mean, he could have made this a lot easier on himself, mate, and he could have adhered to a lot more fans by just being, I think, fair is probably the word to a lot of the players. And now it seems the one player, it did yesterday for me, the one player who I think has been probably ill-treated more than any other was the one that really stood up and was counted for him yesterday, mate. It's one of them. He could have written a story about this. He could have put it as a Hollywood movie, Dave, really. But for me yesterday, that was sort of like Keane said there, it was the horror show, really, Dave, yesterday. From them players, I mean, Ollie aside, we'll get into that in a minute, obviously, but them players on that pitch yesterday, mate, and I said, and everyone's seen my little video afterwards, I labelled the whole team an absolute disgrace yesterday to a man. I don't care which player it was, the whole team. It was only Donny that came out of that game with any sort of credit for me yesterday. I mean, how did you see the game itself yesterday, Dave? Was it one of expectation, or did it go to an all-time low for you as well, mate, yesterday?
No, I think the scariest part for me was that watching the whole thing unfold in front of you, none of it was a surprise. Every moment of the game, every instance that happened, every event, I just shrugged my shoulders at everything, like, oh yeah, no, that's about right. And I think that's the part that hurts the most. As far as the players are concerned, listen, I've seen your video, I've seen everybody's comments on Twitter and Insta. There comes a point where you are a professional in a job and you work for someone and you have a boss, and whether it's Ollie or Woodward or anybody else who communicates directly with the players, there's a lot of players in that dressing room who have been lied to recently, like in the last 3, 4, 5 months. You know, they convinced Lingard to come back. You're going to get game time. No game time. They wouldn't let Donny leave. Don't worry, mate. You're going to get game time. You're in the plans. No game time. Bay, sign an extension. You're going to get game time. No game time. Sancho, you buy him for how much money, and he doesn't play. And you have to think about it also, like, well, who's Jadon's best friend? Marcus. So you think Marcus is sitting there feeling good about the situation, knowing that his best friend's being lied to? On some level, I have a personal...
Two of them, mate. Two of them, Lingard and Sancho.
Hence my point, right? And I'm not saying that it was Ollie who was saying these things, or it was Phelan, or it was Carrick, or any one of them, because we'll never know who.
Oh, David.
Oh, Dave.
I'm back.
Yeah, he's back.
I thought the Dutch authorities got you, said you should be.
Yeah, that's it, mate. Lockdown on the Wi-Fi. Lockdown.
You guys know what I'm saying? It's like we've all been in jobs before where if we don't feel like we're being supported or we're being told something that's not true by our superiors, we're not going to put in the same kind of performances. We're not going to do our jobs to the best of our abilities because we're not.
What is there, Dave? Just on that, is there not a certain level of professionalism you need to have when you get paid by a football club or any job you're in? There's a certain level of professionalism that needs to be met.
Of course there is, and I just think that it's easy to say that, especially when it's about sport. You know what I mean? It's really easy for us to sit back and say that. There's a balance to it. You know what I mean? These are all human beings at the end of the day, and let's be really, really honest with each other here, guys. Most of them are younger than us. You know,
is there a case, Dave? Is there a case for what I said? On that then, Dave, is there a case for what I said after the game yesterday? Was the proof in the pudding that only 5 players and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came over to the fans at the end? Is there a case that the players now are, yesterday, were thinking for themselves and not the club and the fans?
I think so. And we can dissect that. There's part of that makes sense to me, and there's part of that I can kind of understand. there's another part of it, like Keen's saying, where you have an obligation as a player when you put on that shirt. And of course you do. Of course you do. I'm just I'm trying to read between the lines and see it kind of from everybody's perspective, because at the end of the day, it's such a sad thing, right? Whether you wanted Ollie here or not, whether you liked him or not, the whole thing is just a sad mess. And I'm not here to slate anybody. I don't want to slag anybody off. What I really want to do is look at it and figure out, okay, how can there become an amicable solution from this?
There is none. I mean, in terms of Ollie, anyway, the sad thing is with it all, Saeed, mate, and I can see the worry in the comments already. I've seen it online today. It's not much change, mate.
No.
It's just Ollie. Everyone else who we all know was a big part. I mean, saying that though, let's see, because proof is in the pudding. I said this after Ollie's press conference. Proof is in the pudding. If Michael Carrick comes out with a total different team and a different sort of emphasis, then we'll know it was Ollie who was in charge. If it's very similar, mate, then it's going to be proven that they were all in this together, and Ollie's just a whipping boy, really.
Yeah. But then has anyone not asked themselves the question of why is it Michael Carrick and not Kieran McKenna? Wasn't Kieran McKenna supposed to be the coach that was doing all the brains behind all the work? You know what I mean? So I don't understand the hierarchy of the coaching. Apparently, Carrick is the assistant manager or assistant
number
whatever.
2.
But then, I don't know. I don't know who's number 2 then. Who's number 1? What's Mike Feely's role then? You know what I mean? Is he just the advisory? I don't know what's going on. So it's just kind of, for me, it's a bit like, you know, it's the same old, and it's almost like, you know, for me, it's almost a slap in the face for Ollie. It really, really is. I know he's going to be like, you know what, I'm happy for you. I'm happy for Michael Carrick. But he's thinking, hold on a minute. If surely when you do a group presentation and, you know, it's true though, isn't it? You're doing a group presentation, right? And there's not one person who messes it up. It's everyone. So how one person said, you know what, because he's written that little bit of piece or he's brought it to the table, that he should be fired, and then everyone else is getting A's. I don't understand it for me. But again, it highlights more the incompetence of the board rather than... For me, there's no point having to go at Carrick and Kieran McKenna. Because if I say to you guys, right, guys, you Kilo, you know, you guys here, just stay where you are. You guys are going to be running Man United Football Club. Are you going to say, nah, not really, you know, I'm not really feeling it. I'd rather go home. You're going to be like, listen, I need the experience I can. I'm in the biggest club in the world. And I can somehow, if I go on a little run, and it's a weird one because at the end of the day, I think everyone's got a bit scarred by the interim role, because if it does go and he beats Chelsea, he beats Arsenal, he beats Crystal Palace, the club will be like, oh, so maybe Ollie was a problem.
Yeah, it's
scary, mate. It's scary.
That is the trepidation that runs through everyone's mindset right now, innit? Glenn with that super chat, no to Ronaldo as player manager, mate. I'm not having that one, Glenn, but cheers for that super anyway, mate. Yeah. I mean, Keen, mate, it's one thing, like Saeed said there, literally kicking Ollie in the sack. But did you see the interview, the departing interview that United have released? I'm just like, what in holy hell is that all about? And I understand you don't want to leave on bad terms, but an interview to be sacked? I mean, Keen, is that not a worry on its own of where this club is and how, I wouldn't say ruthless, but because this disappointment, this sacking should have happened months ago for me. But is that not a key sign there of where this club is going completely wrong in there, in the way we've acted in this? We could have just made a statement, mate. We didn't need an interview, did we?
Look, with regards to the interview, it's literally just been fed out now that Ollie wanted to do the interview to say goodbye. Whether the club should have let him do that, that's another story. But look, I think with this, there's ways of doing things and ways of being a proper run football club. And we don't act like a top football club. We don't flex our muscles. We don't do any of that. If you want to say goodbye, for me, that's fair enough. 100% that's fair enough, and have one parting message to the fans. He wanted to go out on a shield. Fair enough. He wants to say goodbye to the fans because he is one of us, effectively. Like, he is a Manchester United man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind that he done it. But look, for me, the football club, Ollie was a problem. He was one cog in the system that was a problem. But trust me when I say, they're giving Michael Carrick the job now, right? That's a problem within itself because Syed rightfully so touched on it. He is part of a coaching staff that effectively failed. They're hiring an interim manager to get another interim manager in a couple of weeks' time to then get a permanent manager at the end of the season. Tell me what well-run football club does that. Every billion-pound entity has a fucking contingency plan in place. This club doesn't. This club is an absolute joke. A joke. And look, at the end of the day, I'm sick to death of that Glazer ownership. I am absolutely sick to death of it. Nothing's going to get better. They're going to get a next manager in. And yes, he's going to improve results. Yes, he'll get us into the top 4. Maybe, God forbid, we'll challenge for an FA Cup, a League Cup, whatever. Well, I'm telling you now, and I'll say this straight. Under the Glazer ownership, do I think Manchester United are going to win another league title? My honest answer is, I don't think so. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he wasn't ready for the job. He went out, got sacked a bit later than he should have. It should have been done before the international break. Didn't happen. Jose Mourinho got sacked. Van Gaal got sacked. Moyes got sacked. And what's the common denominator? The Glazers behind him never, ever, apart from Ollie this season, gave a manager a platform to do something. And the one manager they gave the platform to was probably the most ill-qualified manager they had out of the 4 managers they've had post Sir Alex. I don't see where this club is going to go. The direction of it, there's no direction. And then the fact that you have Richard Arnold now coming in, who was maybe even more of a gangster than Ned Woodward is, it's worrying. It's absolutely worrying. And for me, I'm just absolutely done with these owners. I'll continue to support the club. I'll back the next manager that comes in to the day he goes. But them owners, they have no respect for this football club, no respect for us fans. And quite frankly, they have no self-respect either. And that's just all I have to say about that.
I mean, Dave, mate, cheers for the super chat, Dave T as well, mate. Just glad Ali can rest now and watch the shite show. I mean, some fans, I can understand why you would like to see the interview. I just feel like right now, I think everyone's just getting emotionally carried away with the whole sacking of Ole. I mean, if we didn't make this sacking or make this decision this weekend, everyone will be up in arms because we were absolutely shocking and the club was not acting. I just feel like if you're going to do something like this, if you're going to sack someone like this, I don't think we need to do that interview because it's an ex-United player. I think we just need to read a statement out.
And also, Adam, if they sacked him after the 5-0, would this emotional connection be there? I don't know. It was almost like the capitulate. It almost like, everyone felt sorry for Ollie at the end because it was like, he's almost like he's not right for the job, but you've kept him in there. It's like lambs to the slaughter, like you always say, Adam. But if it was after every Liverpool game, everyone would be like, you know what? There's no, it was shocking. Nobody can deny. And I don't think then Ollie would put that thingy statement out there. I don't think he would want to do it then. But because now it's got to the situation, he thought, you know what? I'm going to have to face it. I'm just going to have to do this little thing here. It was 4-1. It wasn't great. And we capitulated. It's more of a capitulation against Watford, wasn't it?
That was it, mate. It was shocking, wasn't it? I mean, Dave, right now, where are you at in terms of moving forward from here? Are you concerned with Carrick being in charge? Do you feel like we are going to make a swift move to bring in an interim manager?
Yeah, it's a really bad situation. I mean, this is something that we started talking about on this exact panel a year and a half ago when we first started talking about Ollie in or Ollie out. It kind of doesn't matter. I mean, it matters, of course, it matters. But on some level, it also doesn't matter because nothing's going to change when you have the Glazers who are running the club. And I'm going to say something that's going to sound really controversial here, but I really want everybody to really think about this. Is United the biggest club in the world? The answer is no. We like to sit here and talk about it. We love to sit here and talk about it. We're the biggest club in the world. I got really bad news, guys. We're not. We might be one of the biggest brands in football, but as a football club, come on.
What about in terms of we are
anymore?
No. Let me put that one to you, Dave. We are, but we don't act like one. Is that a fair definition?
That's what I mean.
That's
sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Fair
what
enough.
I mean.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah.
Enough,
No, that's exactly what I mean. Like from a brand, you know what I mean? From like the crest, right? Of course, the crest is still one of the most recognizable in the whole world, and it always will be. But in terms of how we operate, we're nothing like the biggest club in the world, and that's the scariest part. And to me, it's the scariest part because we sit back and we say, oh, well, why doesn't Zidane want to come? Maybe he doesn't want to be involved with this train wreck. Maybe Conte didn't want to be involved with this train wreck. Maybe Ten Hag is sitting here saying, I'll never get the same kind of support at United as I do at Ajax. Maybe I'll wait for the Barca job if Xavi doesn't work out or whatever the case may be. You see my point? It's like, these guys who are real professionals have to be looking at United and saying, I don't know, I want to be involved with that. And that is not a big club. I hate to say it. It's horrible to say, but I'm trying to be as real as I possibly can be.
Well, that's it. I mean, looking forward side, mate, we need to act, don't we, mate? I mean, we can't believe in Michael Carrick, who's got zero experience in the hot seat, in charge, mate, for long.
You know what I mean? Sometimes it makes you feel, you know what I mean? Like Michael, just to actual say Michael Carrick, maybe my feelings a bit more kind of, I don't know, but Michael Carrick, man, I just no experience at all. Absolutely none at all. I don't even know if did he actually do his coaching badges or did he learn on the job? I'm still a confused guy. You have to let me know. Did he learn on the job? Sorry?
He done his coaching badge under Jose. When Jose was manager, he was still a player, he done his badge then, and then Jose promoted him.
Okay, fair enough then, fair enough. But I just feel like for me, it's a backward step for me, and it's like Ten Hag has come out and put a statement out. It says, "My focus is on Ajax. The rest only distracts." So I don't know if that's you know what I mean? Again, I get where Dave's coming from. You know what I mean? This is a massive, massive job to just jump into. Did I not say this 2 weeks ago, Adam, about I question if Man United is an ambitious club to win when you look at the fact that we have won it, we have seen it all and we have won a lot. But to come in, to work with the Glazers, to work with the people that don't know how to run a football club, is it worth coming just to say that, look at me, I manage Man United? Is it worth tarnishing maybe a little bit of reputation that you have? And I'm just thinking, from a selfish point of view of my club, I'm saying no, but come, beautiful stadium, beautiful fans, global fan base, etc., etc. You've got unlimited funds whenever you want to. Okay, on a certain player, you might have to kind of like budge, or maybe, you might have to wait 2 years for Sancho, but you'll get him at the end. You know what I mean? And it's like, I understand it, but then I'm thinking, I'm just worried that we'll look at who's available and who's easily available rather than go for a Zidane, who you might have to negotiate a little bit and understand what the project is. But when you land him, at least we then can say, right, let's build with Zidane. It's a manager who's seen it and won stuff, but won stuff consistently. Mourinho, it was a bit of an up and down when he left Real Madrid and left Inter Milan. Chelsea sacked him. It's a bit of an up and down. Zidane, however, for me, it's a credible appointment. But it's easier saying than doing it, isn't it?
Exactly. I mean, looking at it now, I watched Sky before Keane, and they said Ten Hag would definitely be interested in the Manchester United job in the summer. But then in the same sentence, we're hearing that their priority is Pochettino. I mean, yeah, I understand both. I think Pochettino, I just think he's perfect for the Glazer ownership. Personally, I do think he'll run on a budget. I do think they'll try and push the youth with Pochettino more, and I don't think he'll have a problem with that, and they'll just give him a bit of money here and there. But, I mean, is that the type of manager now, like a Ten Hag, who's going to develop, who's going to be a tactician, who's going to have a plan that United need right now? Because we tried everything. We threw nearly $500 million at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and he just didn't have the capabilities. Do you feel like if we did the same with a Pochettino, we would get a different result?
I think what we need now is a progressive coach, 100%. when you look at the team we have now, regardless of results, I still think performances have been disgusting lately, but with the right manager who can get something out of the players, I think we still can achieve big things. So if you get a Pochettino, you get a Ten Hag, you have tactically astute managers who play attractive football. And that's what we need. Like when you deep read the managers we got, yes, Van Gaal was very experienced and he was great, but he wasn't ready for club football. And again, like he was done. He's a great international manager, but not good at club football. Jose Mourinho was scarred from his spells at Real Madrid and Chelsea. He wasn't elite anymore. We need elite now. Like Ten Hag's elite. Pochettino, as you said, he'll do well within a budget, but he gets stuff out of players. And look what he done at Spurs with a very average team. He done fantastically well there. Like you give him world-class players, he will work well. You look at managers like Luis Enrique, again, plays attractive football. He's someone who Manchester United maybe should look at. Like I think when you look at this, we need someone who plays attractive football and will have the respect of the players. Because one thing I'd say is, like Ollie, they respected Ollie the man, many of these players, but they probably didn't respect Ollie the coach because, like CV-wise, if you look at it, like, apparently his training sessions were very basic, like he wasn't a glorified, top coach. So we need someone to come in who's a very good coach, who has a good system in place. Everyone knows what they're doing. And we have a style of play that we can actually identify and say, right, that's the way Manchester United play. That's the style of play to have. You know what we're going to do each week. There's a pattern to the type of goal we score. So 100%. For me, Ten Hag's my guy. Like I think Ten Hag is the guy who I'd love to see come in because like the football style of football he plays, Ajax, is beautiful. Like it's beautiful to watch. I'm not going to lie. And so for me, Ten Hag would be the manager that you'd come in. But if not, look, get Maurizio Pochettino. That would be another good choice for me. Like again. Like I called for him to come in before Ollie was the manager. And like, as you said, he promotes youth. And you look at our youth academy, we have very good players in there too. And look, if you give him a bit of money, he gets that defensive midfield player, he gets a new right back, and all of a sudden Manchester United have a title challenging team, a very serious title challenging team. But for the life of me, I just don't want to see us go in for another kind of pass or sell by date manager, because they have a name. We need to go in for a young elite coach right now. Because that's what Liverpool and City and Chelsea have. Coaches in their prime and have identifiable styles of play. Manchester United need that as well. And look, the fact of the matter is, if Carrick gets good results and alongside Fletcher there and they do well, right, I'd be happy for him. But do not give the interim manager the job. We can't have a knee-jerk reaction again. We need best in class. And if we don't do that, well, look, again, as I said, that's on the other Muppets upstairs. But best in class, that's what we need.
Yeah, I mean, Dave, for you, what is best in class? What do you class as best in class? Best coach? Best big name to handle the egos that we've got? So I'm comparing like a Zidane type of character here who's won it all, who will command respect. Or is it an actual Ten Hag, Pochettino, or sort of coach who will make players better? I'm not saying Zidane can't make players better, but let's be honest, his big success was with some of the most well-known established players that we've ever seen on the planet. Let's not kid ourselves. I'm not discrediting his coaching ability at all. I'd love to see more of it at a different level, and maybe it would work. But for you, what is best in class? Is it the coach or the name, mate?
It's the coach. There's no question about it. It has to be a genius level master tactician. And the reason for that is to paper all the other cracks that go on in this club on a daily basis. It's really easy to sit back and say, oh, Ollie was given 400 million. How much of that was spent by Ed and his cronies in poor ways? It's a false statement. And I hear it all the time. Oh, Ollie spent so much money. He spent so much money on who? Ahmad, who never plays, on Donny, who never plays. You know what I mean? Like, that's not every manager that we've had since Sir Alex has been undercut and handcuffed by the board and the people above them. That's not going to change. So you need someone to come in who's smart enough to play that game and to kind of, I hate to say it, but kind of weasel the board into doing what they know is right. And I think that's going to take a very special person. One thing I have to say, guys, because I see it in the chat, and I'm just being honest here because I live in Amsterdam and I know people at Ajax. Ten Hag is not coming now. You might be able to get him in the summer. He will not leave Ajax in the middle of this particular season. Ajax is going to win their Champions League group and is in a position to make some noise in the knockout stages. And I promise you that he's not leaving in the middle of the season.
Yeah, I mean, Saeed there, mate, Prime Prodigy, pretty much.
Conte got his first win.
I mean, cheers for that,
Bloody hell.
What's the score there? Sorry, mate.
Should see Conte's animation at just getting the 3 points, mate. It's, you know what I mean? He's wanted to get that first one under the belt, so...
a bit of passion on the sidelines.
Bit of passion, man. You know what I mean? It feels different, man. I don't know, man. This feels a bit different, but I understand Dave's point. I don't think he will, man. As much as we want Ten Hag, man, they're in the Champions League. They're stable. It's not as if, you know, someone's kind of saying to him, you know, you won't get another big job after this. He will get a big job after this. He will. David knows he will. He will get a Bayern Munich. And you know what the worst thing about it is? Like, it's the things about it is, there's always a big manager that gets sacked. I just feel like it might be Pochettino in the summer. It might be Nagelsmann if he doesn't win anything this year. It might be, I don't know, you know, just Juventus or someone will be like a sacking away because not everyone can win, can they? Not everyone can win a trophy every year. You know, I mean, the Champions League's only one for one team. The certain leagues, you know. So for me, I just look at it. I think we're in a situation here where it is very, very vulnerable. Man United are very vulnerable at the minute because they haven't got. They've tried. So they had the so-called the chosen one in David Moyes. Then they went to Van Gaal, who was available after the heroics of the World Cup. They seen a man who was very, very keen on tactical side of it. I don't think the fan base were patient enough, maybe. I don't know, to bear the fruits of that. You know, I for me didn't want him sacked after the FA Cup. Adam, I don't know about you, but I was happy that day, man. Jesse Lingard, you know, everything just about it, the last minute winner, and just, you know, I just thought for me it was a very, very good moment, and it was a high moment. But we got Jose Mourinho in. It's a winner. United fans were excited again because I'm not gonna lie to you. When everyone found out LVG got sacked, but you should have seen Wembley Way, and it was literally like everyone was screaming Jose Mourinho, and it was like we didn't know what we're gonna get. We had that. Mourinho got himself sacked. We found Ollie, and we felt like we were almost like United were back in terms of the feeling. The love to support Man United was back. And then as soon or later, we kind of like unpicked everything, and we just knew that Ollie wasn't the right man. It was just how long this club was ready to kind of like accept, you know, and take it in and maybe look forward to that fact that, you know, it would turn over. There would be another book, kind of like, you know, another chapter will happen. And for me, he never recovered. And I'm just looking at it thinking, we're having to rely on the Glazers making a decision for the betterment of the football club. For me, it's scary, man. Scary.
That's it. I mean, it has been coming. We know the decision has been pending for a while. We just didn't see the capitulation. Does it show, Keen mate, that United really had no intention of getting rid of Solskjaer? It had to be an absolute catastrophe. They were happy for this to continue. It has taken what can only be described as a capitulation for me that we didn't, that Ollie was still in a job. It was ridiculous, mate. And we could all see him absolutely just, he was disintegrating himself. But that again just brings up the club and the mentality of the club. And just a quick one on people saying, I don't understand. I do understand why Ollie did that interview. I understand he's a legend. I just don't agree with it personally. That's just my opinion, guys. That's what it is. I understand why they did it. And I know they're trying to smooth things over. It just wasn't for me, that's all. So I understand why people would like it and thought it was a good thing. I'm just sort of cut from a different cloth, that's all, guys. So don't take anything to heart with it. It's just not for me. But Keane, mate, it's like they weren't going to sack him. It took an absolute battering from a relegation-threatened team like Watford for this decision to be made. And top it off, what happened before that?
Again, like the disorganization of this football club is scandalous. It's absolutely scandalous. Like, really and truly, you probably should have went after Liverpool. Like, you know, like you lose 5-0 to your biggest rivals at home. Like, that's probably when you say, look, it's time to go. But they kept him on, and like when you look at it, they made him really go through the wars. Like they really made him say like, look, take these batterings and where to take your licks. That's the way it was. Like the fact of the matter is, it took him maybe 6 weeks longer to sack him than they did. It's embarrassing, really. It's embarrassing.
Can they change, King? Can they, like Yellow Bathing Suit says there, cheers, mate, with a super chat? The next manager needs to read the job description very well, because being a manager at this club has a different meaning. The role is limited. I mean, they have to sort of set a stall out and make this. They've been given a chance here, the owners, to correct a massive error and salvage the season. It is a massive, massive moment in this club's history, because we cannot afford to be putting an interim manager in place, promising a manager at the end of the season who's coming in for the long term Champions League football when it's not guaranteed. This interim manager decision, mate, is probably bigger than the actual long-term manager that's coming in the summer. Is that correct? Am I far off the mark there? Because we need to be salvaging what season we've got now. Manchester United cannot write off a season.
No,
they can't.
Absolutely not.
We cannot afford to do it. We should not be doing it. I mean, they have to make this right now, don't they? They have to just look at it and go, we've made mistakes. We've made big mistakes here, but we can salvage this season.
100%. The season's salvageable. When you look at it, top four is like, you get a top manager in top four is a canter. We get it at a canter. Do you know what I mean? Like, look, when Chelsea got Tuchel in, that's the prime example. They went out, got someone who was a top coach, got them when they were available, and look what they done. Like, Man United have a very good squad. You just have to get a manager in. But again, as I'll go back to, we're a £1 billion entity. Take the football club aside, we do not have a contingency plan. And the fact of the matter is, they're getting Carrick on a interim basis now to think about who they want. They're writing off the season almost. They're ultimately probably writing off the next 2 or 3 years. Because let's take it into example. Let's say Carrick doesn't get top four. Ronaldo's gone. Bruno's gone. Pogba's leaving, but look, he's always going to go regardless who's manager. He just wants to go. Like, players like Varane will leave. De Gea probably goes. That's just a couple of players I just named off there. Not to mention how many top targets will come to the football club just based on the name Manchester United. Like how many times, how long is that going to last? And you're talking about top coaches as well, and you said reading the job description. Absolutely. Like, if you look at this 8 years post Sir Alex Ferguson, look at how the managers have not been given the funds until Ollie. Like, Ollie got the funds. But again, as Dave rightly pointed to, how many of them were his signings? Like, you have to look at it and say, whatever top coach or manager that comes in, they're going to have a set of demands that will need to be met. And they will want it in their contract. So Manchester United will be legally obligated, to do what they need to do.
Yeah.
But,
is that the key thing, though, Keane, what you said there, in terms of, the manager will be told what to do? I think with Ollie, I don't know if Ollie was told you have a set target. I don't know if it was just kind of top four, get us top four, and then maybe kind of like get a cup. I don't know. Maybe the new manager, when he comes in, will be told, we want to win the Premier League. We want to win this Premier League. That's all I wanted to ask here, Keane.
Looking at it this way, let's say from Ollie's tenure, I do think he's been treated differently to the other managers before. I mean, Said, you mentioned Van Gaal, Mourinho. Mourinho kicked up a stink because of how the board. Don't get me wrong. I'm giving Mourinho no excuse here. In the end, he completely lost it, and I think he was fighting an uphill battle with himself. Never mind the players and the club. So I look at it and go, Ollie's been given everything by the Glazers compared to what's gone past before. I mean, to be given what he was given this summer and where we finished last season, I think it's only fair now that the club act exactly the same way that they've been with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer with the next manager. I do think that they have to set the standard now. They have to be giving this next manager at least 100 million plus a summer, which Ollie's had, or more. And I mean, Saeed, mate, they have to, because he's like, and this is why I've got the issue with the legend bit. I understand because the club love him and the fans love him, but this was the manager at the end of the day. And sometimes you have to just say, look, we're sacking you because you haven't been good enough. But we are going to treat the next man who comes in exactly the same as the way we treated Ollie and give him every single chance, which is why I think it is crucial now that they get this structure, because they've bolted it up since they've been here. Is there a chance now for them to turn it around in terms of structure? I know they're going to keep rinsing this football club, and I've given up hope on anything happening in that part. They know what they've got, and they know what buttons they can push, mate. But can we make the football side of it and the structure side of it better?
Oh, mate, it's $1 million question, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's $1 million question, man. I don't think the fans have got enough in them to kind of protest about it. I don't think protests work. I don't think we have a united fan base for that. I think the Super League, it was a united effort because it was ruining everyone. Everyone had an interest for that. But I just look at the football structure. They're going to be what they are. It's almost kind of finding... How's the word of describing it? Like, we've got to find a way to make it work, basically, with these guys ahead of us. Myrtle, Fletcher, Woodward still advisory role. That will just, I think that's getting brushed on the carpet for me, which is absolutely crazy. How this guy said as he's leaving, and then he's coming as an advisory role. You know, apparently, you know what the worst thing about it is, Adam? You know, they left the decision for Joe Glazer to make. Do you reckon Joe Glazer watches the football? You know,
no.
They were leaving the decision.
Joe Glazer doesn't even know what offsides is.
No.
So, you know, I just look at it and think
that's what they are.
Yeah. And I'm just looking at it thinking, we've got to kind of leave the decision, and it's like we almost have to accept what it is. If Brendan Rodgers comes in, we have to accept it, we back him, and then we have this fan base again. It will be Brendan Rodgers in, versus out. Shake it all about. You know what I mean? It's going to be that. We're not going to have a manager who comes in and says, this is who I am, and get behind me. And I honestly, it's not been for a while where the whole fan base has got behind a manager totally. Okay, at the start of every reign, but like for a year, 2 years solid. It hasn't been 2 years solid. We need it to be 2 years solid. And then you could understand, like, when you look at like Jurgen Klopp, it was solid for the 2 years. And then after that, it just flourished.
Do you know
Same
what?
with Tuchel, you know?
Do you know what, mate? On this, and Dave, you could probably come in on this one better than anyone. It's like Joe Glazer knows what he's doing. I mean, he's become multi-billionaire. The whole family have. But he has put the people in place. It's the people in place at the football club that are wanting Ollie to stay. It's not Joe Glazer. Joe Glazer couldn't give two tosses who Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is at the end of the day. He's got people in, like Saeed was touching on then, an advisory role for Ed Woodward. Ed Woodward's probably telling Joe Glazer, oh, you know what? There's still a chance here for this. You know what? Myrtle from within. Do you know what I mean? These advisors and these people in position at United is where the big problem is, mate, really.
That's this is where it's all going. You know, again, it's what we talked about a year and a half ago. It's, you have these people who do not care about the football. They do not care about the success on the pitch. Their primary focus, their primary driver, their primary, when they lay out, you know, like we were talking about, what were the goals for Ollie this season? What are the touch points? Those are all backed by a financial decision. That's all it's ever been about. And that's not going to change. To me, it's a dereliction of duty. Plain and simple. It's a dereliction of duty on behalf of the board and on behalf of the people who own the club.
Yeah.
But since it's not going to change, and since we can't do very much about it, you just have to hope that the next guy they bring in is that, you know, kind of genius level person who can play the game the right way and get what they need and still make the Glazers happy.
And to compete with the top managers as well.
Yeah. Sorry, mate. I mean, we knew that it wasn't working for Ole. People who don't think we was ever behind Ole, you need to go watch a few videos back and stop being all sentimental all of a sudden. We knew it was going wrong for Ole. We knew he was struggling. But, I mean, I'm looking at the league table right now, and it's only because we've literally lost as many games as we've won. we're in minus goal difference, and we've been on a run of, 4 points from 21 is relegation form. It's as simple as that. I mean, Ollie really is to blame for what's happened on the pitch and not being able to handle what he's got. That is down on Ollie, and he's not been good enough to take us to the next level. That's simple. But looking at it now, I mean, Keane, I'll come to you first, mate. So 12 points off Chelsea. League title's gone this year, mate. I think that's safe to say. Because Chelsea, I don't see losing another 4 games. I mean, we're further away through the season. We've lost 1. So if they beat us on Sunday, like Said says, Keane, which is highly likely because they are playing very well. At 15 points, job done. I mean, can we salvage anything from this season? What's salvage for you right now, mate, from that position we're in now? 12 games in, 8th in the league, behind Spurs and Arsenal and West Ham and Wolves. Forget the other top 3, they're long gone, mate. What's salvage now for you, mate?
Top 4 definitely has to be just get top 4 at least manager to come in and do the Champions League football to come in. For me, also the FA Cup, that would be great this season, regardless of who's interim or who's manager. But as I said at the start of this season, regardless of who's there, with the squad we have, a prolonged run in the Champions League needs to be there. So at least quarterfinals to semi-finals would be respectable and salvageable for this season, regardless of who's there. But top 4 is bare minimum in terms of salvaging the season. But the FA Cup and a good run in the Champions League will be respectable. And then the next manager has a salvageable season to come in, squad, a good attitude, I suppose. And look, I'm just done, really, to be honest with this football at the moment. It's broke me, not going to lie. Yeah. But man, it's just tough.
We need.
Not gonna lie.
What's
tough.
the how is there a way? Is there a feeling that if we lose Villarreal and what's the other game? Is it Young Boys?
Yeah, we can't really lose. We can't really fail. Even if we lose to Villarreal and beat Young Boys, I think we're still through.
Oh, that's I was going to say, but because I was thinking, like, it's very, very kind of much, a proper job for Carrick to kind of motivate these guys, because they're still down and out, and they're thinking, you know what, you've sacked Ollie, but we want to look up to a proper manager. Ronaldo played with Carrick, for goodness sake.
This is my biggest fear for the whole thing. I'm gonna kind of repeat myself a little bit. I implore everybody who's watching, everybody who's in the chat, have a real proper think about yourself as an individual, as a human being, as a professional. If somebody came in your profession and offered you a truckload of money to go and work for a company that you knew was dysfunctional, would you take the money? Some of you would, some of you wouldn't. That's the situation that we are now in. Everybody in world football knows that this is a dysfunctional club. And so it's really easy to sit back and say, this guy will come throw a bunch of money at him, this guy will come up and throw a bunch of money at him. But isn't that what we're mad at the Glazers for in the first place? Is for just being financial about everything? And yet we expect big names to come and work for us for the money? I mean, this is a mess.
I mean, one thing that isn't a mess, and this is why I still have hope, and I'm not gonna move away. I don't care that it could be Carrick and then another interim coming in. I'm not going to lower my standards and say I'm not expecting United to win a trophy this season now. I've got a team and a squad and a youth team coming through here that is good enough. That's how I see it. There is a team here, and I went in on the players yesterday, and I think they deserved it because they were scumbags yesterday, in my opinion. A lot of them, it really was. But I know what's there, and I just hope that they give something back to the fans now. Because let's be fair, they pretty much got Ollie sacked. Yeah, he didn't help himself, and his tactics were abysmal, and he lost it a long time ago. But recently, I think the players have had to do what they've done to get him out the door. Because I said, without it being a catastrophe, the Glazers and this board would not have got rid of Ollie, and they would have just carried on. And for me, I do feel like there is a team of players here under the right guidance and a quality manager who knows how to handle and get into the psyche of players that can take us and can actually salvage something. Like I said, it's done now. Yeah, we could have done it a while ago and saved ourselves a few more points, but let's be fair, we probably would have had a good chance of losing to Liverpool, City and Chelsea. But maybe we would have beaten Aston Villa and Everton and definitely Watford. And we'd still be in the top 4 right now if we'd have won them games.
Exactly.
That's what you've got to look at. And we're sort of looking at the Chelsea game then as like, oh, God, 15 points. But really, we could have said, look, we can afford to have a certain tactic in this game and then get something out of it. But right now, it's damage limitations and it's gone that far. I just believe that there's something in this squad right now. And I know them youth players coming through. And Keane, you love the youth players as well that are coming through. There's a lot of positivity behind the scenes. But I'm trying to just spin it here in a positive way and say, look, it's not the end of the world. It is a mess, like Dave said.
No, there's a lot to look forward to, Adam, man. There is a lot. A lot of people are down at the minute, yeah. And don't get me wrong, man. You know what I mean? It can demoralize you, mate. For me, I was dejected after that 5-0 because, you know, to lose to your arch rivals, and for me, there not to be a sacking after that, at least to kind of comfort everyone. Because in the day, it was a sackable game, but. Again, that's for the hierarchy and them to decide. But for me, right, there's a lot to look forward to, people. You've got some world-class... I think it's a world-class squad, mate. You've got 2 players in every single department, maybe even 3. There is a lot to look forward. There's exciting young talent. There's talent that we've not even gemmed in Tellers, Donny van der Beek. We don't know about these guys. We don't know their capabilities.
We're going to find out, aren't we, mate? That's what we've got to look. We're going to see something different now, and that's what we've got to hope. We have to move on. We have to move on quick because the season is on. It's there. We're right in the middle of it now. We cannot just think and feel sorry for ourselves constantly. And this is what I wanted to get across. But guys, I'm going to actually finish the video here now because I can't believe we've nearly done an hour already. We could go on forever.
I think we could go on forever, mate.
We can. I am going to be on the United Stand as well at 7 o'clock, guys. There's going to be a big debate on that, John. So do tune in there and watch me on there. But Dave, brilliant input as always today, mate. Just give the people a shout out to yourself and your socials and your big moves going on.
No big moves at the moment, just regular sized moves.
Wagamama.
Maybe you can make
espresso, baby, double espresso.
Can you make a Ten Hag Old Trafford Ten Hag, and you know maybe you can do that one. Stayed in France, eh?
Yeah, I'm gonna have. I'll have a mob with burning pitchforks at my door. Next thing I know, man.
Oh gosh.
No, you can find me in 2 places on socials. My personal is at Yankee De Jong. My professional is Stadiums for Ants, and you'll see me again in a couple of weeks here with Adam.
True. Keno, mate. Busy boy as always, pal. Let the people know where they can catch you and what you're up to, buddy.
You can catch me on the weekly Armchair Sport Talk. Joe, we will be talking Manchester United versus Villarreal tomorrow on the show. And also, catch me over on Talk the Devils also.
Nice one. Saeed, mate, busy boy, all over the place at the moment, mate. I mean, give the people a shout out on your 2 channels and what you've got coming up.
Yeah, big up to everybody who's watching today, man. You know what I mean? This is a community. I literally know all the names on here, man. So big up to everybody watching. Big up everybody. Make sure you like the video as well. I'm going to go now, actually, to Nuruddin's house and film the podcast. So I'm going to go over to his now. So we're gonna have to dissect it all, and he'll be no doubt when we talk about the structure, and rightly so, man, because right now I get his point. We sack Ollie, but what do you do after? And he was always talking about that. So big up to Nuruddin, and yeah, man, just catch me on Matic TV. Big up to everybody watching, and just keep your head up, man. And Keno, man, you too as well, man. Keep your head up, man. We'll be back, man.
We'll be back, guys. Well over 1,100 for the 2nd week in a row in the chat. Give the video a like on your way out, guys. Obviously, subscribe, bottom right hand corner there to Matic TV. We go from strength to strength. I'll catch you all over on the United Stand at 7 o'clock. Tune in for that one. But for now, guys, cheers and